Let's talk about Leek Aleer, the bombshell yesterday, Joey. A pretty big move from St Kilda and a bold one. We know their strategy to go out and buy players. They've been, Johnny, into him for a long, long time. He said his goodbyes to the Giants in tears at his exit meeting. Pretty emotional, and fair to say he was emotional on his European holiday yesterday when he found out the news.
Yeah, he's shattered. His management firm is shattered. I spoke to his manager, Dylan Smith. He doesn't want to talk on the record about it. Now, the only good news today that has emerged is that North Melbourne is kicking his tyres at least. So there is a 3-year deal there that GWS have offered him. I think he's probably going to have to sacrifice about $1.6 million in terms of guaranteed money to stay at GWS. 800 grand compared to 400, and of course 3 years compared to 4. So I think what North Melbourne feels is like we've locked in our key position defenders: Whitlock, Will Dawson, Logue, Aidan Corr. We think he's more of that third defender. I think the problem is that the more we saw of him, we realised that he's got some flaws. You know, we watched a game with Jai Farah, the medium-sized Gold Coast forward, who ragdolled him a couple of times. You think, yeah, Charlie Curnow can ragdoll him, not Jai Farah. And so I think what maybe St Kilda did in the end is just they fell out of love with him. You know, they had him locked away. They didn't think they had many players coming in. And then they got Flanders. And then they got clearly Jack Silvani. And then they got others. And they just realised that he was surplus to requirements.
I think he'll do well. GWS are going to wrap their arms around him. Like what Jason McCartney said today. And the kid's only played 20-odd games. I mean, stay there for 2 or 3 years. Then your big contract might come. St Kilda and others will go, if you develop into the player everyone thinks, yes, you're not getting the big check now. And it's quite terrible how it's happened in a way. And I think if you're in a different management group, like if you're in the Paul Connors, Tom Petroro, this doesn't happen because they do deals around deals. And if you get treated like that, well, we won't let you take that player or that player or that player. So there's a lot of politics that could have gone on, but I hope the kid stays there. I think they'll wrap their arms around him. And if he develops into what we think he is, he'll earn his money down the track.
Joe, it's about trust for St Kilda. I know that St Kilda would say, we don't care, we're doing the right thing by us. Is it going to hurt them down the track? Because for St Kilda, that's the only thing that really matters. If they want to get someone across and says, I saw what happened there. You speak to list bosses today, they're a bit shocked by it. They don't normally care what happens to other players who don't affect them. They're like, we're stunned by what happened here. So it's not just these things happen in football. This is an outrider across the last few years.
Yeah, it is rare, and potentially it could have some ramifications down the track, and it is not a great way to do business, let's be honest. And you feel for Leek Aleer, he thought that he was going to come to St Kilda, but you can't promise players. You've still got to get deals done, and St Kilda feel that they didn't get a deal that suited them. And I'm with you, Ralphie. I think maybe their priorities changed a little bit. I think once Jack Silvani came on board, which was a late call to choose St Kilda, Sam Flanders was a late call as well. You know, they prioritised some others. They prioritised Liam Ryan and Rowan Marshall now staying and those sorts of things. So they have changed tack, and yeah, it's not ideal, but I think it shows that St Kilda, they are ruthless. They're not here to make friends. They're trying to do the right thing by the footy club, and that's the way they've gone.
Did the bean counter in the back office suddenly come in and knock on the door? Gubby, can we have a quiet word? There's a lot of zeros adding up here. Can we fit him in as well?
Well, I think the pitch was that the board said to us we couldn't push more future assets, we couldn't trade more of them. I don't think anyone believes that. If they really wanted him, they could have got him for a third rounder, because GWS does that when they want players to shine elsewhere. So I think that was a furphy too.
I'll tell you what, I love Gubby's quote. That's the highlight of the trade period so far. We've got cash and we're fishing. Let's go. Clayton Oliver, he's said that he wants to go to the GWS Giants. I'm still bullish on Clayton Oliver, that a new club, new fire, the culture at the Giants and what Adam Kingsley's put in place might straighten the ship for him a little bit, but that's good news.
Joey, Tom Green and him, very similar players.
Yeah, they are.
They're both talented.
They are. But I did the numbers the other day. They have massive deficiencies with their clearance and contested ball game. The GWS Giants. Everyone talks about their back half game. They didn't want to play a back half tsunami. They want to play a forward half game, but they just didn't win enough contests through the middle of the ground and around clearance. So he's going to provide that. Yes, it's not the perfect mix of midfield balance with Tom Green, but they're both quality players. As you said, Digger, Adam Kingsley's a bit of a hard taskmaster. I think he'll get the best out of Clayton Oliver, and hopefully for the Giants' sake, they get more of the Clayton from a couple of years ago. But I don't think he's going to be an All-Australian Clayton Oliver anymore, but he's still a very competent midfielder who can win contests.
He's a blaster right now, as you saw even with those goals. He needs to get Kingy's Leg Drivers Association going. And what GWS says is people are shocked when they come here and realise how hard we train. So he's just not going to roll in. If he can get there and get through a massive pre-season, they're big ifs, we understand that. Maybe he can get back to not that player, but something approximating that.
Now, I'm excited for Clary and what's ahead for him at the Giants.